Hello, everyone. This is Jill here to give the Purdue versus Nebraska postgame recap. And I know I missed Oregon, so let me just sum up these two games, Nebraska and Oregon, with 5 simple words. Are you listening? Hello? A win is a win. A win is a win. But honestly, though, that's really how I feel. Despite what the score says, despite what expectations are when you're coming into a game, as long as Purdue wins, that is the end goal for most of these games. So that is kind of what we're dealing with. And I know that we've had some ups and downs for this particular season with such high expectations coming into it. But, I just try to remind myself that one, it's Big Ten basketball, anything goes. These are really tough opponents, no matter what the record says. And, just to respect every opponent that comes into Mackey or whenever we go away, and to just enjoy the season and watch these guys and hopefully see some improvement as the game goes on. And, I think for me, this particular game was one that I've been thinking about for a very long time. I had the pleasure of being there at Pinnacle Bank, and I've been there a couple times before. Very, very tough arena to play in if you're an away team. And Nebraska fans bring the heat. So I knew from the start that this was a game, no matter how Nebraska was going to be ranked, that it was going to be a tough game for Purdue. And then as the season unfolded, Nebraska ended up being a top 10 team in the country. And so that made it even more nerve-wracking for me because I knew I was going to be there. It'd be very, not a hostile environment to fans, but we'd be very outnumbered. So that was just crazy to think about. And I was just getting nervous, that's for sure. So I knew coming into this game, as the season kind of went on and we've started to see a bit of falter in our team, that I just wanted a good game where we played well, Nebraska played well, and that we held our own. So that was kind of what I was wanting to see. And at the end of the day, I think we did not play very well offensively, just from a stats perspective of our shots not going down, and also free throws. We'll talk about that. But defensively, I think we played one of our better games overall. And that was really great to see because I think Nebraska as a team matches up very well with our players just from a height and size perspective. So that was going to be just a really big thing. If we wanted to win, we had to really stop them defensively. And we also had to be very tough on the glass, and we had to shoot really well. As far as shooting goes, we were 28% from 3 and 37% from field. And then for free throws, we hit 55% from free throw line. So those stats do not scream great performance to me. So I'm not sure what anyone else thinks, but that to me wasn't we were playing stellar whatsoever. And I know we've seen games for these guys where they are absolutely unstoppable from the field. So that to me was not our best performance, but the fact that we were able to win with those kind of stats was really telling and very promising to me. Where we really outshined was from the rebounding perspective. We out-rebounded Nebraska 52-33, and we had 20 offensive rebounds compared to their 4. Oscar Clough and TKR were just absolute menaces on the boards and the glass. TKR had 19 rebounds, and Oscar Clough had 14. I think someone said 10 of them were offensive rebounds. Absolutely incredible. Awesome to see. That was one of the big things that I cheered for the most, was the fact that we were able to grab so many rebounds, because that was the difference maker for us and how we were able to get such a good lead to end the half. And, as far as turnovers go, we had 11 turnovers. I think that's pretty solid compared to how we've been doing for the past couple of games. The challenge was the timing of some of these turnovers were ill-timed and just kind of crunch time for Purdue. So kind of had to clean that up. And then points in the paint, Nebraska had 28 points in the paint. Purdue had 22. My preference would have been we try to get more paint touches, but I know the paint in that particular game was very crowded. So it was probably hard to just, try and find a pass into the paint to Oscar or TKR And, when you go down into the paint, like Nebraska wasn't getting any wasn't fouling at all. So they had to take some really tough shots in order to like drive to the paint. So I think that's why in the second half, a lot more of our shots came from the perimeter, is because paint was really clogged up. We had some guys open on the corners or open behind the arc, and they were uncontested shots. So they were going to let them fly. The unfortunate thing for Purdue for the second half was that our shots were not falling down. So even though we had open looks, they were not going down. And then our defensive intensity did lapse a little bit in the second half, where we ended up giving up more threes than we had. And, their best player, I believe, is Price Sanford. He had 15 points, and all of them were in the second half. So that just goes to show that we kind of let some like defensive calls just like kind of lapse from there. So that was really tough. But also, I will say, like, Nebraska did start to get hot in the second half. So it was hard to match that when they're making shots and we're not. And while we're getting good looks, we weren't able to get the right rebounds at the time we needed to. So, or they just had a funny bounce that led to us not being able to grab it. So tough to see that happen. And, unfortunate, because I think for most fans that were at the game and probably watching, really frustrating to see like a 20-point lead go away and then have the game go into overtime. But a couple things I will say to kind of keep it in perspective. Nebraska is ranked higher than us, so they definitely had an advantage there. They also were playing in their home court arena, which again, I would say is one of the toughest arenas to play in, and they have beaten us there on many occasions. And I will also say that usually when Nebraska plays at home, they shoot lights out 40, 50, 60% from three. And, we were very, very fortunate to get enough stops to keep them at 37.5% from three. So that's what I will say about how like this was a really tough game to start with. It was going to be tough before Nebraska was even ranked number 7. And to make them now to have this be a top 15 matchup in the country, it added like enormous amounts of pressure. So I think that's kind of the silver lining to, well, we blew a 20-point lead. Well, Nebraska is really, really hard to beat at home. So that's my perspective on that. As far as like players go, I think everyone did such a great job when they were on the court to contribute and find ways to win for this team. I do want to like shout out TKR. He had 19 rebounds, 2 assists, 6 points. Like, without those rebounds, this game is totally different. We probably would have lost by 20. Same with Oscar Clough. He had 14 points, or 12 points, 14 rebounds, and 2 assists. Clutch layup at the end to kind of seal the deal for us and get us the lead. And CJ Cox, he had 11 points. It doesn't say it, like it doesn't show it, but he was kind of everywhere defensively and grabbing rebounds. His ability to like keep Price Sanford locked up and unable to make anything happen in the first half was incredible. And, just can't emphasize enough that CJ Cox is such a great player. And Fletcher Loyer, 18 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. He shot a ton of, looks in this game. I think he had 17 attempted threes and he made only 4. Seems like it was not a lot, but I think like in the grand scheme of things, he was taking shots that we would want him to take any day of the week. So, just looking forward to those finally falling and getting a little bit more consistent, but, very glad that we were able to get 4 threes from him because that's exactly what we're looking for. And Jakari Harris and Jack Benner, 2 honorable mentions that I would say, like defensively, amazing players, and they were able to contribute a lot offensively too. They both had 7 points. Jack Benner made some really great plays to grab rebounds as well as call a timeout while he was in the air grabbing the ball and saving a possession for Purdue. And then Jakari Harris at the end of the game was able to grab the ball and then hit 2 clutch free throws to seal the deal for us to win the game. So that was really great for him. And I think especially kind of that pressure mounting from like Braden Smith, Fletcher Loyer, CJ Cox, all missing 3 free throws, for him to hit both of his in a crucial moment like overtime with 1.5 seconds left was amazing and very, very happy for him and for our team. And, I think like the stats for this game just to me feel like it was such a collaborative team effort. Very, very happy to see where this can take us if we can use this momentum to, one, keep this defensive intensity. If we can do that, we'll be in a really great position. And then two, if we just start to hit our shots, that is going to be like a key difference, here. Because I think anyone that knows Purdue well knows that us shooting less than 40% from field is not typical and not us. So that's what I would say is like silver lining to all of this. I do want to say too, is like super unfortunate to see the game end the way it did with Jamarcus Lawrence slipping for the last possession for Nebraska. Like, as a fan of basketball, that's not how I want to see like it end up. But these things happen, and hopefully like for future games that doesn't happen to them, because I think everyone wants to see someone get a last second shot up. But yeah, I think like this game in particular was just took a lot of years off my life. Any game in Pinnacle Bank always does. I don't know if that means I have to stop going to Pinnacle Bank when Purdue plays, or if I should keep going because we do win or eke out a win. I think that's all I'll say about it. I think anyone that's consistently watching these videos knows that I will always look on the bright side of things, and I feel very excited with the prospect of what's to come. And also, I was just kind of looking today, there's 7 games left in the regular season, so things are wrapping up quicker than we anticipate. And now it's just really like get as many wins as we can, just enjoy the season, enjoy these players. It's like such a like joy to watch them and see them like improve season over season, and not many fan bases get that kind of experience. So I'm just really happy to keep watching these guys, and no matter the outcome, I'm just looking forward to seeing them play and to hopefully meet all their goals. As far as the next game goes, we're going to take this one game at a time before we think too far into the future, is going to be Purdue at Iowa on Saturday, February 14th at 4 p.m. So should be an exciting one. Iowa's been certainly getting hot and, not to be trifled with. So that's pretty much it for this one. I really appreciate you guys watching these, and I will see you in the next one.